Canada's money coach is Judith Kane. I'm so excited for this conversation because I've got so many friends, Judith, who are doing their own trading. And you see so many commercials for, doing your own stock trading. I don't even know where to begin with this, but you do, and you're going to walk us through this.
The first thing I'm going to say, if you aren't prepared to do the research, then don't do it.
Okay.
Okay. If you aren't prepared to do any kind of research on investments, specific stocks, then do not invest in specific stocks, because it's not for the faint of heart. And if you get a tip, I used to tell people, by the time you and I get a hot tip, Martha Stewart's in jail.
Because that's kind of my sense of it. Somebody, first off, I wouldn't even know where to begin looking for companies to invest in. But this is their, they put out, not a synopsis, but they put out I don't even know what it's called, but basically a little biography and a little, here's information about our company. Here's what our plans are. Here's where we see ourselves going. And it's up to the investor to interpret that information and go, I'm buying into the sales pitch, essentially. So it's a gamble, right?
Exactly right. The first thing that you should do is you should become familiar with all the terminology around investing.
So you're not using things like synopsis?
Yes. Well, yes. Okay. And you should understand things like loss, gains, what they actually mean, fees. And one of the best places that I found is a site called Morningstar. And they have, not only do they have all the information about most investments in Canada, whether they're stocks or whether they're mutual funds or whether they're ETFs, they have tons of information for people who are interested in learning about all of this. Okay. So if you are going to DIY, then you need to, there's books you can read, there's online stuff you can look at, but I recommend starting with Morningstar and just reading up in some of the personal finance stuff that they've got on there. They talk about ETFs. There's a section on ETFs, and there's a whole bunch of articles on ETFs. Like, what is an ETF and how does it work for me?
Well, that was my question.
Right. And one of the things people don't realize, it's called an exchange traded fund, but you know what? It's actually a mutual fund. It's the same as a mutual fund.
Okay.
And shares in companies, you can only buy shares in companies if they're publicly traded. Unless, right. You can buy shares in private companies if someone offers to sell you some shares, but that's a deal that you have to make privately. But if you're going to buy shares normally that are on the TSX or that you see on the TSX, those are publicly traded shares, and that information is available on Morningstar. The way that ETFs work is, I'm not even going to talk about that because it's just so complicated. We could spend like 60 minutes, not 6 minutes, but it's really important that you understand the terminology, that you understand the difference between TFSAs and RSPs and non-registered. People think that when you buy a TFSA, that's actually an investment. It's not. It's just how you've registered your investment. So if you have a bank account, you can have a bank account that is just a bank account. You can have a bank account that's under your RSP, or you can have a bank account under your TFSA. So that's what I mean about terminology. Same thing with shares in companies or ETFs or mutual funds. You can have them non-registered, you can have them as part of your TFSA, or you can have them as part of your RSP. When you dig deeper and you say, okay, I do want to do some of this DIY stuff, I want to invest myself, I would look at the first thing I would do is start it with Canada. We have some great corporations that issue shares, like the 5 banks. So if you're interested in investing, a bank might be a good one for a couple of reasons, because the banking system in Canada is pretty darn secure. It's not like the States where you and I, John, could go and open up a bank on a street corner. That's how it is in the States. In Canada, heavily regulated, can't open a bank unless, there are 5 main banks, and then there's some other banks, but there's 5 main tier 1 banks. So if you were to buy,
most of us in Canada, even if we know nothing about investing, are abundantly aware that the banks seem to do okay.
Right?
Mhm.
Even in 2008, when the share price went down, they were still issuing dividends, and they didn't decrease the amount of dividends. And that's the cool thing about companies in Canada that, blue chip, remember our grandmothers used to, or mothers and fathers used to call them blue chip companies. These are companies that actually issue dividends. It means they make enough money that they pay the shareholders part of the profits of the company. That's what a dividend is. So if you own a share in RBC, for example, every year they're going to pay you a dividend. In other words, they're helping you, they're sharing the profits with you. So
Okay, so your money doesn't just sit there and grow and grow and grow until you decide to take it out. It gets to a point where, I guess this is in the language of the contract or whatever, when you're buying their share price, that if we hit this much, anything above and beyond, we pay you in cash.
no, that's incorrect.
All right.
When you buy a share, at RBC, you have now become a shareholder in the company.
Okay.
Every year, they look at how much money they've made, and if they've made a profit, they pay you some of it. That's called a dividend.
Okay, so it's like profit sharing.
It's exactly like profit sharing.
Okay.
So not only does the value of your stock go up,
So you've still got the stock and you've been paid a bonus.
And you've been paid a bonus. And if you set it up properly, you can have that bonus reinvested until there's enough money to buy another share. So here's your money working for you. So you're working for your money by buying a share in that bank. And then that share is working for you because it's earning money. So that's how people get wealthier.
Okay, so what I take away from this conversation, and thank you for it, is that if you want to get into doing your own investments, the biggest investment is going to be in educating yourself.
Oh my God, I love you. Yes.
Where were you? Where were you when I was in high school? You were exactly the kind of teacher I would have absolutely loved. You break it down, though, so it makes so much sense, Judith.
I was barely passing math. That's where I was. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yes. Oh, yes. You have no idea how many times I've wanted to go back to my math teacher and go, nah, 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 nah. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So here's some blogs that you should read. Maple Money, Boom and Echo, Morningstar. Check those things out. And there's lots of education in those.
And if people want those links or want to hear them again, or they want to just pick your brain on a couple of things, they can reach out anytime. How do they get in touch?
Email me at judith@judithkane.com, and I will be happy to answer any of your questions or refer you to an